And then by like the third episode, you find out he's actually a Vietnam War vet, and he's AWOL. Um, and I meant to bring some trivia prizes, but the creator, Hugh Wilson, also created another show for Tim Reed. Frank's Place. It was also created by the same guy who did WKRP in Cincinnati. Yeah. All right, so here's a quick question for you. The TV show What's Happening was based on what popular movie?
Cooley High.
What else?
Cooley High, man.
Yes. So
have you ever seen this, the prints from when they were trying to convert it to an actual TV series, Cooley High, and then they revamped it to make it What's Happening?
Well, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, honestly, I don't see how they could have. That movie was so good. I would be hard pressed to try to make a Cooley High TV show. I like that they took elements to make What's Happening.
Right.
But the one thing that they had to do to make it totally different was move the show from Chicago to Cali.
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that Cooley High, the movie, used music in a way that was so innovative. It was probably the first soundtrack I think that really just got my attention. First of all, I got everyone's attention because the soundtrack really was. I can't even describe it, but I think it was at that point. I remember some friends of mine who are movie buffs. They were saying that movie soundtrack after Cooley High changed. That was one of the changing points and how soundtracks were looked at, because now soundtracks were looked at as a way of making additional funds, making money. Because before then, if the soundtrack's so great, Sound of Music sold the most at one point. But now, with Cooley High, there was a deliberate effort to pick songs that would sell. And from that point on, movies changed. Soundtracks changed, that is.
Well, I will say this. In Cooley High, the music was actually an additional character to me. The whole movie is different without My Girl. The opening, Diana Ross and the Supremes, Baby Love. This is what I'll say. My problem with What's Happening was when they said, listen, because this was said, we cannot put a heartthrob like Cochise on a regular network show every week and have little white girls, feeling about him like they do about Greg Brady. And so they took Cochise's character and flipped him into Rerun. And that's about the only problem I really had with What's Happening.
My other problem was that there was a lot of fat shaming on that show. I remember being very uncomfortable with the stereotypes that were being used about people who were not skinny. I'll put it that way. And I remember, even as a child, I just felt very uncomfortable with the way they treated
Rerun,
the mother and Shirley. And I didn't like it. I didn't like the show mainly because I didn't like the show because of the fat shaming. I didn't like it at all.
Okay. All right. We've got about a little less than 20 minutes left, so let's go to. Let's talk about Lionel Jefferson. Really, if we talked about the Jeffersons, we'd be here all day. Let's talk about Lionel Jefferson on All in the Family.
Okay. I loved how he would confront Bunker on his racism, but in such a subtle way that Bunker didn't even realize he was being confronted on it. That's what I liked about the character.
Oh, yeah.
His thought process was 2 steps ahead of Bunker. Until that one episode where Lionel went out with, I think it was his niece.
Yeah, he changed.
Yeah, he confronted him head on with that one.
Yeah. I did like the character Lionel. I thought he was, once again, I just felt it was a complete character. He had humor, he had seriousness. But the one thing that you're right that they showed was that he was a chess player, not checkers.
Right.
So he was chess, not checkers, and I
And he
love
had
that.
to check Mike, and he had to check Mike a couple of times.
Yes,
too.
Yes.
I love which
Yeah.
which I think was the first time in television history that the person who's supposed to be the good liberal person had to be schooled to say no, you don't know everything.
Exactly.
And so that was really interesting.
Okay. So
Props to Norman there for that.
yeah, my favorite Mike Gets Checked episode was when they get robbed by the guy from Blazing Saddles.
Cleavon Little and
Cleavon Little.
and
Lamont
Sanford.
Do you remember that?
Wilson.
That's-
Yes.
Lamont Sanford and
Absolutely.
Cleavon Little robbed him. And he's like, we got a real live liberal
Wow.
and a
And
big
he
guy.
got.
Yeah, but yeah, all the family. Like I said, all the family at its best was just Although right now I would rather have Archie Bunker right now than what I. But anyway, that's another story.
That's another story. Yeah, and this is what I will say about the Jeffersons. Again, challenging people to learn. I learned so much about business from
Oh,
watching
yes,
George
yes.
Jefferson, both on All in the Family and on the Jeffersons, about franchising, about all those different things,
Advertising,
advertising, budgets, investments.
And giving back. He
Yeah,
actually,
oh yeah.
Many times he gave back to the community because he would find people that remind him of himself, and he would give them that second chance.
One of my favorite Christmas episodes.
That's my favorite.
Let's
That's
not talk about
I-
that one.
Yeah. Talk about it. Talk about the Christmas
I may start
episode.
crying. But the-
Apartment
Oh
23C.
my God! Yeah. I love the line he said that drove me crazy. He goes, "There would be no more sad Christmas series."
Right.
And that spoke to who he was. And Jefferson, George Jefferson.
And the funny thing about George Jefferson, he was such a, let's just say, in your face kind of guy. But he had his moments of love, remembrance, and tenderness, especially like I said in that episode, the Christmas episode.
Yeah.
I like the one episode where when his store got robbed.
Yes.
And he was ready to quit, but then some guy touched on, I was gonna say, it reminded him of why he had the stores in the first place, and he decided to keep the store there.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
and it was the first time you got to see, like I said, a sitcom where the black guys, the black family was rich. They made it. They did become rich.
But I think it showed the frustration at times that businessmen, period, black or white, would have when situations weren't going right. So I think that one of the things that the Jefferson did was that it showed why people felt that way. But the thing about it is it also showed that sometimes as a black businessman, there's a different responsibility you have.
But one of my favorite checks that George got was by his Uncle Tom.
Oh, Alderman Davis.
Yes.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Yep.
Yeah,
That was a good one.
that was.
I mean, okay, so since we're here, the Christmas episode, there was the episode, and this really broke ground, where his army buddy turned out to be transgender. He had a sex change
Yes.
operation.
That came way out
That
the
was
left. Didn't
like-
expect that at all.
That was at least 30 years ahead of his time. Easily 30 years.
Yeah. So, shout out to the Jeffersons. And before we get to the Boondocks, let's talk about rock.
Okay.
I guess I'll start.
Yeah.
One of the first things that I think of whenever I think about rock, not just the character, but the fact that the ensemble did 2 whole seasons live.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So again, if you're not familiar with the show, most TV shows, sitcoms are shot live in front of a studio audience. Rock live for 2 whole seasons, and and here's the funny part: not only did they use the core cast, but they also brought in Heavy D, Kelsey Grammer, Jamie Foxx, a bunch.
I can't remember her name. Which one?
Yeah. So they brought in all these guest stars and they performed the show live on air on Fox, I don't think it had ever been done before. It definitely hasn't been done since.
Yeah, yeah. I think as a theater person, Rock is what I like the most. Of all the shows that ever was on television, I love Rock the most because as a theater person,
Yeah,
I'm not
the
saying that
monologues were the best.
exactly because the thing about it is anyone can retape and get it and look good,
Right.
but to go live and to be in the moment, that's priceless. Like I said, I mean,
And the cool thing was, even when they had a few missteps and miscues during the live, they were professional enough to know how to get out of it.
Right.
and they happen too.
Yeah.
And you can catch them.
Yeah, you can catch them. But the other thing that was crazy is a lot of times during the cold intro, whatever the news was, they would bring that right. So just to prove that we're doing it live, we talking about the speech that Bill Clinton just gave 20 minutes ago and whatnot. So, to this day, every time I see actor Clifton Powell, I'm like, that's Andre Turner, the drug dealer.
Yeah.
I am so impressed with the writing and the dichotomy between Rock and Andre Turner. And this was 10, 15 years before The Wire.
Right.
And the reason why it's important for people who may not know, both
Take
shows
place
were
in
set in
Baltimore.
Baltimore. In Baltimore. Hey, what are your thoughts on Rock and Andre Turner? I could go, but...
Like I said, I'm a theater person, so I like Rock because there are very few places where actors, black or white, can really do theater on a constant basis. And for black actors, it's even less. So here you have these constant stage actors out there doing the do. I love it. Just for the art of it.
Okay.
And honestly, the seasons that they did it live, it gave, for a lot of people that can't afford to get to the theater to see the live show, that was their first exposure to it, to be honest. And a chance to see professionals at their best.
Well, let's also say it was their first time being able to see the original cast from August Wilson's Piano Lesson, Joe Turner's Come and Gone. It was the other one. There was another one that Charles Dutton did with him, but Charles Dutton. Fences. Well, he did it after James Earl Jones, but he did do Fences.
Yeah.
So that's the first time that people got to see Charles Dutton, Ella Joyce, Rocky Carroll, and the grandfather, Gordon, I forget his name, but they all worked with August Wilson, and that's how Rock came to be, actually. Okay, so since none of y'all wanted to talk about Andre Turner, I thought the interactions between Rock and Andre Turner were golden every time. The first time he meets him, they have a back and forth, and then Andre slips up and says, I hate to see one of your loved ones in one of them trash cans. And Rock jumps on his whole behind.
Yes.
Like, you know I will walk you down and break your back. And Ella Joyce is like, don't hurt him.
Yeah. It was very tense. It was I'm sorry. It was very tense and extremely uncomfortable when I was watching with the family because we've been through situations like that.
Yes.
We've been through situations like that where we that's why that's all I'm gonna say.
And I love to see how it evolved to the point to where the one young boy I think the last time they were on stage together, this young boy had shot somebody and said he did it trying to be like Andre. And now Rock is asking Andre, it's like what's the James Cagney movie? Not White Heat. Not White Heat. Angels with Dirty Faces.
Yes.
Wow, yeah, because in Angels with Dirty Faces, the priest asked the gangster to, act yellow before he goes to the chair, and of course he says, I'm not going to, act like I'm scared. I'm going to go to the chair like a man. And then at the last second, and Angels with Dirty Faces, he starts begging for his life. And when I saw Angels with Dirty Faces, I wanted to cry. I almost broke the code. Because you know other than Old Yeller and Brian's song, we're not supposed to cry. But that almost got me. But I loved that Andre Turner went and talked to the boy and told him, you're going to put yourself in protective custody. You're going to write a letter to that child's mother and say, every day. And, I was like, wow. That takes a lot for somebody of his stature in the hood. And going back to good times, Sweet Daddy had a moment
when he came back to get the money. Yeah.
When he came back to get the money from
What did Francis do?
Marion.
It's Marion. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. I knew it was something like that.
Yeah, he had to get the money back that they borrowed, that JJ borrowed for Thelma's wedding.
Yeah.
And he told his boys to go outside. Look at the wall. He said, listen, I'm going to let you go. But if word gets out, the Sweet Daddy shows some kindness, I'm going to come back and I'm going to really raise it. Like, wow. Yes, indeed. All right, so with the last few minutes we got left, I'll say this. I always looked at Riley from the Boondocks as the revenge and the squaring of what Norman Lear did to JJ. Because here you have the intelligent oldest child in the family who is now well-read, well-versed, worldly, and able to articulate his position. Whereas before, on Good Times, they almost made a minstrel show of that character and Michael because he was so young.
This is how I look at that. Okay, JJ, let's just say being class clown. We've all known class clowns in our life.
Right.
But he had one redeeming quality, his artistic talent,
right,
which is not everybody can do that. So despite being a class clown and looked at as not being smart, JJ did have some street smarts, because if you so it's not that he wasn't intelligent, he just didn't apply himself and take life as serious outside of art as he should have, and that changed as he got older. Michael, on the other hand, is just, and we've seen this in life, there are just some kids that are so smart beyond their years. He just happened to be the youngest in his family to have that kind of intelligence.
I agree with everything you said, but I think that dichotomy was put on TV the way it was on purpose. Because when you make the youngest kid in the family the militant, you diffuse the situation, and people don't take what he's talking about seriously.
They took it seriously when the FBI came to the house.
Indeed.
They took it real serious then.
Okay.
I think that I saw Michael and JJ more symbolically. I saw JJ as being the older generation and Michael being the up-and-coming generation. I know they were siblings, but I looked at them, I think they were representing generations, not just siblings. Because Michael was more militant, which is what a lot of the younger people were. Michael was much more questioning of authority, and JJ was almost apologetic at questioning authority, or apologetic about ever asserting himself, except for those times when he did stand up. So I saw them, I did think it was intentional, but I think they were representing not just siblings, but generations, and generational thought.
Well, as we close, let's look at JJ as opposed to Riley Freeman. I mean, Huey. Is it Huey? Who's older? Huey. Huey Freeman. Riley was the thug. Wait.
Yes.
Riley, my favorite Riley moment was, not that one, but with Gangstalicious. I thought it was hysterical. He was like, you were scared too. He said, I'm 8, and you realize how stupid this whole gangster rap thing was when the 8-year-old is saying, listen, you're doing all that, but you're a grown man. I'm only 8. But I tell you what, the story of Gangstalicious Part 1 and 2, I absolutely loved it. As a matter of fact, I loved the way they looked at hip hop. And what was hysterical about Gangstalicious, the first one with the intro, listen, I ain't got no entourage. So these are just jokes. Don't be coming for me. I'm serious. He wrote on there, I'm serious. But what are your thoughts on Huey?
I think he's perfect for his show. I could never compare how he is on his show as to how JJ is on Good Times, because Huey was the first before to his brother, who were close in age.
Right.
So, and it makes sense that one brother would have battles with the other brother, especially the smart one would tell him stuff like, I'll tell you my favorite, the candy bar episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When his brother told him, not only is that the dumbest idea, I'm gonna tell you what's going, and he's like, hold it, stop right there. You always. This time I want to be surprised. So no matter how bad it gets, you don't want me to tell you. Nope. And then he turned around and gave him a bulletproof vest. It still kind of spoils it. So that makes sense for them because they're close in age, and brothers, I would expect them better. But because of the age gap between JJ and Michael, I wouldn't expect JJ to come down to Mike's level.
Right.
But I would expect Mike, as the younger brother, wanting to step up to the older. I would expect that.
You saw elements of that time and time.
Yeah.
I just want to say, to be my age and to have been able to witness first run episodes of Good Times, Rock, Richard Pryor's show, and even shows that have depicted people of color on non-black shows like Sticks, on Happy Days.
And don't forget Barefoot in the Park. There was a black cast that did that. That was really, really interesting. Clifton Davis had a show with Melba Moore where they did sitcoms. And that was really great. So there were all these different things that were happening. I remember Love American Style also used black characters in a very natural way. And I think that the most natural way is that just show everybody.
Yeah, and I want to thank my panelists for having the nuance to discuss and take into consideration. Good Times was as much as it could be for that time. It was the first. Being the first is always easier than being the latest. And with all due respect, we didn't get a chance to talk about Bill Cosby as much as we should have in the Cosby Show. But let's give it up one more time for Elijah Pringle. Let's give it up for Sean Wright. And taking you home one more time.
Raymond Tyler.
Taking you home with one more song before we turn it over to Chris and Soup Can. One more time, here's April Chocolate Girl Williams to close us out.
That was very, very serious.